Now at 6, Oregon lawmakers are gearing up for next month's short session with a slew of new bills, including one that would allow Oregonians to sue ICE agents who cause them harm. We'll break down how exactly that would work, plus other bills headed to next month's session coming up in a live report. And later this hour, former Oregon Congresswoman turned Labor Secretary Lori Chavez-DeRemer under fire over accusations that she drank in her office and had an affair with a staff member. We'll have the details on those claims, plus the White House's response a little later at 6:30. Plus,
if something breaks, like a bridge falls, a piece of infrastructure breaks, we can come in and we can immediately 3D print a new bridge.
this clay-based concrete could be the way of the future. Ahead in this morning's Good Energy, Chris McGinnis will explain how it's allowing for faster construction and fewer carbon emissions. Good morning and thank you for joining us. I'm China Green. We will get to your local headlines in just a minute, but first we want to head over to Rod Hill and Chris McGinnis because we have issued a KGW weather impact alert for dense fog this morning.
Yeah, and this is unlike yesterday. Thank you, China. Good morning to you. This is fog that's all over the place. There's no escaping it. And the benchmark seems to be about a quarter of a mile visibility, with some areas having visibility pockets closer to 0 at times. So we think this is impactful. We have the impact alert up through 10 o'clock this morning, limited visibility, slow down, extra spacing on roadways. Because again, if you all of a sudden hit a 0 visibility pocket, you're going to need to be slow. Here's a look at what I talked about. These are all quarter mile visibilities. Everything on this map, very widespread, dense fog that extends all the way down to Eugene. We really don't see this that often. The fog absolutely dense everywhere. Here's our camera at the Oregon Zoo up in the West Hills. Foggy there, well above freezing, 40 degrees. You can't see downtown Portland. It's foggy into the city as well, 37 out at PDX. Now, a lot of you, when you get south down, especially into the Mid-Valley, are at freezing, and there's concern for freezing fog and potential icy spots in those locations. Portland, the impact alert this morning. Later today, we'll have the fog lift and we'll see temperatures warm up into the 40s. Here's Chris.
For sure, Rod, you can see on all of our traffic cameras, the fog is definitely more widespread this morning than it was yesterday. East side of Vancouver, case in point, it wasn't that foggy on the east side of town yesterday. Today, a different story. As I zoom in, I'll show you the Glen Jackson Bridge, the I-205 commute here from the perspective of SR-14. Doesn't look terrible right there, but there certainly are some very, very thick pockets elsewhere across the system. And to Rod's point about farther south, we'll take you there. This is I-5 just north of Salem. Pretty thick fog there. Note the temperature as well down in the Albany area, 31 degrees in fog. So a morning especially south of town where if you see fog, assume that there could be some slick spots on the roads as we get some ice crystals forming in that fog south of town. So far, no unexpected freeway delays, though. That's the good part. China?
Chris, thank you. President Donald Trump is once again threatening to withhold federal funding to states that are home to sanctuary cities, including Oregon and Washington. President Trump said federal payments to those jurisdictions will stop as of February 1st, though he did not say what kind of funding would be affected. Two of the president's previous efforts to cut off funding to sanctuary cities and states were shut down by the courts. Developing this morning, some Oregon lawmakers say that they are seeing a surge in immigration enforcement, and now they're pushing to pass several laws to protect people from tactics used by federal officers. Sunrise reporter Thomas Schultz joins us live with more on this. Thomas, good morning.
Hey, good morning, China. There's a couple different bills we need to break down here. The first is being proposed by State Representative Leslie Munoz, a Democrat out of Woodburn, called the Protect Your Door Act. Essentially what this would do is it would allow Oregonians to sue federal agents for harm. Munoz says the second part of the bill would require the feds to give local authorities a 48-hour notice of ICE raids happening in their area.
Right now, there's a big fear of, people putting on masks or conducting a kidnapping and us thinking that it's a legitimate operation.
In Salem, Representative Sarah Finger McDonald plans on introducing a bill that would mandate schools, colleges, and universities tell their school community when immigration agents are on campus. ICE has made arrests near schools in recent months. In one case, an ICE agent was asked to leave school grounds after telling administrators they were conducting surveillance.
There was a long-standing policy that immigration agents would not target sensitive locations like schools, but that policy has been discarded.
In previous coverage, the Department of Homeland Security told us, quote, ICE is not conducting enforcement operations at or raiding schools, but said the administration would not tie an officer's hands if they needed to make an arrest on campus. We expect to hear more from Democratic lawmakers down in Salem today at a press conference at 11 this morning. In that press conference, we expect them to talk about ways they are looking to push back on ICE enforcement and also preserve state autonomy. China?
Thomas, thank you. Meanwhile, city councilors in McMinnville talked about possible steps that they could take to try to protect immigrant families. Last night, they heard public testimony. Some high school students say that their classmates are worried that they or their families will be detained by ICE.
Standing up for immigrant families is not just about policy. It's about humanity, dignity, and the belief that everyone deserves a chance to learn without fear.
And one of the options on the table here is helping notify families when loved ones are taken by ICE. The leaders acknowledge that local police can't interfere with ICE operations, and it's unclear who would gather that information. The council rejected a proposal to ban drone use near public schools, saying it doesn't control airspace. Staff members are now looking into what they can legally do before moving forward. There are also several anti-federal immigration enforcement bills on the docket in Olympia. Among them are two companion bills banning all law enforcement from wearing face coverings when interacting with the public.
Masks are being used to obscure identities, to escalate tensions, to stoke fears, to deny public transparency, and to shield government from accountability. That can't happen here.
Another bill targets Flock, the automatic license plate reader system, which has been criticized in recent months for helping the feds track down people who are in the country illegally. The technology is active in at least 17 jurisdictions in Washington state. Washington Governor Bob Ferguson is advocating for a new income tax on the state's richest residents. It was part of his annual State of the State address yesterday. The governor also wants funding from the so-called millionaires tax to go towards schools and small businesses.
To keep our growth going, let's get back to basics. Invest in our infrastructure, make our tax system more fair, and continue our progress on addressing the housing crisis. In the next 2 months, let's create history to make the state of our state even stronger.
The governor adds that it would only impact 0.5% of Washingtonians. If passed, it wouldn't go into effect until 2029. All right, check this out. LEGO has announced its first ever line of Pokemon sets. The collection will debut on February 27th and features classic characters like Pikachu and Eevee. The most expensive set in that line is this one, the final evolution of the three Gen 1 starters. It's over 6,800 pieces. So Rod, would you like to take a guess at how much this thing costs?
I know these can be crazy expensive.
Wrong.
I want to say 600, but I don't want to go that high because that'd be stupid. I'm going to go 360 bucks.
Well, you should have been stupid because it's $650.
But that's stupid. I stand by my original statement.
You would have been this close. You would have won. You would have won.
Really, 600 bucks?
$650, but that's not the most expensive Lego set you can get right now. The title actually belongs to the new version of the Lego Death Star, which retails for $1,000. Even stupider.
So while I'm doing my weather, Google the term price gouging and then tell me what that says. Here's a look at our visibility map. We showed you this earlier. The point is everything is in white, and for the most part, well, not for the most part, in fact, everything does. From Portland down to Eugene, it's all being reported as dense fog this morning. We have a KGW impact alert up through 10 a.m., believing that if you commute any distance at all, there's at least a decent possibility you're going to go around a corner or pop onto a bridge, and all of a sudden visibility will be zero. That happened to me on the Fremont Bridge this morning. I literally had to come to a complete stop because I couldn't see. I knew I was at the point where the road's supposed to turn, and I just couldn't see where I was. So be prepared for this. 35 in Battleground, 33 Wilsonville. We're above freezing in much of the North Valley and up into southwest Washington, but it's on the flip side, it's mostly freezing from Aurora down through Salem, where it's 29, and down to Albany, where it's 32. This area under a freezing fog advisory. We do have reports of the dense fog, which is typical, producing some mist, And if it's freezing, that can put down some surprisingly slick, icy glazes on things. State Capitol is right here. Can't see it. That's not that uncommon. It's 29. It's a cold morning, though, in Salem. Can't see the interstate bridge, which is not that uncommon either. From the Vancouver, the Springs to the waterfront camera, it's 38. Kind of foggy in the downtown. Again, what is a bit unusual is just how absolutely widespread, not only fog, but dense fog is this morning. 37 out of PDX. Later today, it's a beautiful sunny day out east. It's nearly 60 in Bend. Maybe they hit it. Wow. And then you've got 50s and sun at the coast. We've got one of those days where there's no guarantee on clearing this afternoon. We'll see how it plays out. I keep Portland in the 40s with the impact alert through 10 a.m. The entire 7-day look behind me continues to be dry. All right, that's your forecast.